Today we're going to be talking about 5 steps for improving your walk cycle. Let's hit it! Howdy. Good morning. I don't know when I'm going to be uploading this. It might not be morning. Good whatever it is. Now a walk cycle is the piece de resistance of brick filming. It is the thing you're going to be doing the most in brick filming, and it is tedious as hell. So, warning. It has to look like the minifigure's actually walking, and that's kind of made hard by the fact that Lego characters don't have knees, and walking on studs, and just, there's a lot of factors that kind of make it difficult to look like it's walking. So, here are 5 ways to improve that, to help that a little bit. Wow, that is a shadow. Holy crap. Okay. Note to self, don't do that again. First step for improving your walk cycle is what I'm going to call timetable. Know how long it takes to take a step. So one thing you could do is just video yourself taking a step. See how many frames it takes, see how long it takes. I was watching behind the scenes for Kubo and the Two Strings, and for that they were shooting at 24 frames per second, and one step was 12 to 14 frames. So right about half a second. And I figured out for brick filming, that is hard. That is really difficult because Legos don't have knees. So it kind of almost gets too slow, too choppy, too hard to keep the minifigure consistent when he's moving. So I usually go with a third of a second. So at 24 frames per second, it would be 8 frames, and at 15 frames per second, it would be like 6 frames, a little bit over a third of a second, just to adjust for the difference in time. I would do a 6-frame walk cycle. So basically, just know how long it's going to take a step. You have that knowledge before you go into it, and keep it consistent. So number 2, consistency. You want your character to be moving roughly amount for each frame, and you want the walk cycle to be consistent between steps. You do want a little bit of ease in, ease out on the walk step on the step. If you don't know what ease in, ease out is, basically that means that when somebody's moving, they move faster as momentum gains. So you start off with smaller pictures and then go into bigger pictures, and then towards the end of the movement you go back to smaller pictures. So it's kind of it's like expanding and contracting, kind of, if that makes sense. One problem that you come across a lot with consistency is the fact that a stud gets in the way of the minifigure's leg, because he can only move it so much before he hits the stud, and then you have to move it above the stud, which is a big movement when you're doing 8-frame walk cycle. Now there are a few ways around this. The fastest and simplest way is just to move your character forward a little bit before he actually raises his leg in the step, to imply movement. It can look a little bit weird, so you have to, it has to be a very slight movement. The second way is to just cut the backs out of the legs, because there's a plastic bar across the bottom on the back of the foot, and that's what hits the stud. So if you cut that out, you do have a little bit more room where you can usually get another frame when he's you can get another frame in when he's lifting his leg up. The last way, but this is by far the most difficult way, is just to animate on flat tiles, because then you're not dealing with studs. The problem with that is keeping the characters balanced, everything like that. So usually you'd have to put clay on the bottom and mask it out. Or, if you're very good at hiding it, you can probably hide it. Maybe put it on the side behind the character, or just use a wire and mask that out. A lot of newer brick films, especially from Keshin, Forrest, Zach MG, like all those guys, have started animating on flat tiles, and it looks great, but it's so difficult. So, I would definitely practice that a lot if you're going to use that. My third tip for improving your walk cycle is to, God, I keep moving so much. Sorry, I move a lot when I talk. I do this kind of thing. So, I'm going to box stay me. Third step to improving your walk cycle is pay attention to the body position of the minifigure. The easiest way to do this is to use onion skinning. I would definitely recommend getting a program that uses onion skinning. Obviously, the best is Dragonframe. That's just the best program all around. That's a little bit pricey. It's like $300, but you can get cheaper ones, or even some free ones have it. But just when you're choosing animation software, make sure it has onion skinning. But what I mean by the body position of the minifigure is because sometimes the minifigure will be leaning back or whatever just because you accidentally bumped him or something like that. So you have to pay attention, make sure that he's kind of always moving forward a little bit with the thing, because you don't want him to be like doing this while he's walking. It just doesn't quite look right. You know, most people don't wave around like that when they're walking unless you're the wacky inflatable arm flailing man.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Fourth step is arm movements when he's walking. Always use arm movements. It looks just so much better. It's something that I need to keep consistent with because sometimes I'll forget, and it makes it more tedious and it makes it harder. But always use arm movements unless the character's carrying something heavy. Then use less arm movements or no arm movements or something like that, because it looks weird when he's carrying something and he's still kind of doing this. But when he's just walking, got nothing in his hands or maybe something light in his hands, always use arm movements. It's the opposite arm going forward. So if he steps off with his left leg, you want the right arm going forward and the left arm going backwards. That I've just found that looks the best. It looks odd when it's the same arm and the same leg. And, just think about how people walk. Again, you want to go off of realism. Actually, am I right on that? Alright, so I just tried walking because I don't remember what it's like apparently. And anyways, it's not completely realistic because most people don't swing their arms around when they walk very much, but just keep it consistent. Maybe not going up here or anything, but just up to the torso, just to have a little bit of movement. It makes it flow really nice. My 4.5 step, because this is just kind of a digital effect, is use frame blending. If you have After Effects, I'm not sure what other programs use it, but I know After Effects does. Just frame blending is so nice. It's so helpful. If you get your animation consistent enough, just frame blending just helps it bring it to that next level. So just definitely always use frame blending. And my last thing is use convincing sound effects. Know what environment your character is walking in. If he's running, it's going to be a harsher sound than if he's walking. Know how fast he's moving. Know what the situation calls for. You want it to match the tone of what you're trying to bring. If he's running away from something, obviously it's going to be a harsher sound effect and you're going to have the heavy breathing and everything like that. If he's just walking, it's not going to be as dynamic of a thing. But just make sure that you have the right, if he's walking on grass or snow or dirt or concrete, make sure you have the right sound effect for the right environment. And the easiest way to do this is just record yourself walking. It allows you to match it up a little bit better to the animation. When you find free sounds online or something like that, it doesn't always match right and you can't edit it as much. So I would, if you can get you can get a Zoom H1 for like $50 or something like that. So I would recommend that if you have the cash, or if you have another microphone, I would definitely recommend recording your own sound effects. So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it did help. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. And other than that, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye. Am I out of frame? No, I'm not. Okay. Alright, there we go. Now I'm out.